In order to get started using Bootstrap, you need to set up your file and include the Bootstrap dependencies that are necessary in order for your website to take advantage of using Bootstrap. In order to use Bootstrap, you're going to need the Bootstrap CSS and the Bootstrap JavaScript files. If you go to getbootstrap.com, you can go ahead and get all kinds of information about Bootstrap, see examples of websites that are built with it, reference the help documents, and learn more about how to use Bootstrap. In addition, when you're on the homepage, it's going to give you two options of how you can get started using Bootstrap. You can either go ahead and install the necessary files and host them locally on your own website, or you can link to CDN files. The advantage of using a CDN, which stands for Content Delivery Network, is that it offers performance that reduce load time. The files are hosted on multiple servers spread across the world, so when a user requests the file, it'll be served from the server that's closest to them. In addition, because many websites use Bootstrap, there's a good chance that a user might have the Bootstrap files already cached on their browser. In this case, they don't have to download the files separately. If you want to customize the files though, for instance, you may want to adjust the CSS files so that they're more customized for your project, then you'll need to download the files. In my example, I'm going to go ahead and be using the CDN files. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the link for the CSS. Then I'm going to pop into my code editor. For this example, I'm going to be using brackets, but you can basically use any code editor. Now I've already created an HTML file and I have a base CSS file. We may want to add some of our own custom CSS so that we can overwrite some of the Bootstrap CSS. We'll be doing that a little bit later on in this demonstration. I'll start off though by creating the basic HTML for this example. I'm just going to go ahead and call this Bootstrap example 1. The next thing that I need to do is in the head section, I need to go ahead and paste in the link to that CDN file. It's important that you link out to the Bootstrap CSS first. Even if you then want to later include your own CSS, you'll still want to point to the Bootstrap CSS first so that when you go ahead and use your own CSS, you'll be able to overwrite the Bootstrap CSS. Remember, this is an optional step. If you're not going to be customizing Bootstrap in any way, you might not need to link out to your own CSS. I'm going to go ahead and just comment this out for this demonstration, but we will be using this later on. The next thing that I need to do is I need to add a link to the JavaScript file. Once again, I'm going to be using the CDN method. It is possible to add the link for the JavaScript either in the head or at the bottom of your body tag, depending on your preference. I'm going to go ahead and add the script file at the bottom of my body tag. This will ensure that all of the content is loaded first and then the JavaScript gets loaded. Now, if I save my page and I just add a little bit of code to the page, we'll be able to see how Bootstrap is going to affect the content on the page. Let me open this page in the browser. Now, because we haven't done much to our page, we don't really see a lot of changes, but you will notice that the page is being styled differently than the default styles. The font family is being changed along with the sizing and some of the spacing settings. These are all inherited from the Bootstrap files. If you've used previous versions of Bootstrap, you will probably be familiar with also needing to include a JavaScript file called popper.js. In addition, you would also need to make a link to jQuery. As of Bootstrap 5, you no longer need to do this, so Bootstrap has its own JavaScript file, which actually includes the Popper code, and this is needed in order to make tooltips and popover components work correctly. But this makes it a little bit easier, and you don't really need to do anything in regards to this, as it's all been taken care of from Bootstrap. Now that we have the basic page set up, we'll get started in the next exercise, creating some additional content and formatting the page in a variety of ways.